Do apologize about that, folks. A little bit of some technical difficulties going on, but we got it fixed, and we'll continue. Right where we left off, Coach, we were talking about junior KJ Walton struggling a little bit, but senior Trevor Lucas really stepped up in that Zionsville game.
No, absolutely. Trevor did a nice job, good activity, and again, just great team effort. We had a lot of guys play well, just grind it out. And, again, I think you find out a lot about your guys when it doesn't really go well. And it certainly wasn't a loosey-goose or up-and-down game where the ball went in the basket a lot of missed shots, and the guys kind of hung in there. And again, it doesn't have to be pretty as long as you get the job done, and the guys were up for the task on Friday.
Against the Pike, KJ Walton also kind of rebounded from that effort, had a very impressive scoring output, 28 points in this one, and really capitalized by getting to the free throw line. That was really where the team as a whole got some really easy, nice buckets.
Yeah, I thought 31 out of 32 at the foul line. I have to keep it in perspective. We weren't getting any stops on the defensive end, and yet our lead was kind of continuing to grow because we weren't missing free throws. And the kids did a great job. We had just some really gutty performances. A lot of individuals stepped up. I thought Darian played really good defense for the length of the game. He played some really solid defense, being in foul trouble. Thought our interior guys got in there and battled, and we're talking about Tyler Houston just getting in there and being an undersized post guy for us right now, actually, and kind of particularly on the defensive side of the ball, and just came up with like 3 or 4 straight possessions offensively, defensively, where he got the ball every time and either ended a possession for us on defense or he kept our possession going on offense. And so, again, a lot of kids really contributed, and everybody went to the foul line, made free throws. When you make 31 out of the 32 and you don't turn the ball over, you're going to have a great chance to win.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up the 31 and 32 as far as the team goes, because that'll really help when it comes to possessions, points per 100 possessions for your team. When you're capitalizing and getting points like that at that kind of clip, pulling away from a team like that is very, very impressive.
No, I thought our guys did a nice job. Again, just our execution could be better, but once we got the lead, again, it's a tough situation. We did it. I thought we did the exact opposite in the Carmel game. Once Carmel got the lead, we just didn't perform well. We fouled a lot. We didn't have good patience on offense, and I thought kind of the roles were reversed. Once we kind of got the lead, I thought Pike got a little antsy, and they committed some fouls they usually wouldn't commit and got us to the line. And then I think they pressed a little bit offensively, and again, but I thought our kids showed great maturity. That once they got the lead, they managed the game well. As much as I was being critical of our late game defensive possessions, I thought we managed the ball very well in the fourth quarter.
Your guys did struggle a little bit, especially from behind the arc, shooting only 1 of 10. Was there more of a concerted effort in this one to try and drive to the bucket and try and get to the free throw line?
No, I just think the more we go, we kind of figure out who we are, and we may not be a great shooting team, but I think the more good shots we get, the more we have a chance to make shots. So again, I don't care if we make 5 or 15 3-point attempts. I just want them to be good shots, and I think our kids are understanding that. So our 3-point shot attempts may go down, but as long as we're getting good shots, I don't really care where they're coming from.
It was really a beatdown on the boards, Coach. I mean, that had to be very impressive for you. I mean, the team won the rebounding battle 30-15, doubling up on Pike. How imperative was that in this game?
Well, I think anytime you play somebody like Pike, you're going to have to do all the little things, and I thought we did a good job taking care of the basketball and then getting to the glass. I do think, I kind of saw that stat, and I kind of got to thinking back, when you don't miss free throws, we're getting fouled, we're going to the foul line a lot. We're making free throws. There's just not a lot of rebounds to be had for them on the defensive side of the ball, and again, I think sometimes those stats get skewed, but I thought we did a great job of not giving them second shots in the second half. I think they had 1 offensive rebound, and I think that was probably the stat I was probably most proud of. We just didn't give them a lot of second and third chances to score the ball.
Did you have anything you wanted to add on this game, Chris?
Well, just that when you look back on those 2 games, Zionsville and Pike, I thought really, sure, the Pike win was great. Should have generated some media. It was a little too bad it was on Saturday night instead of basketball Friday night. But the Zionsville game, to me, was really almost just as tough to win, if not tougher. Zionsville, like Coach said, they had a great atmosphere there. Kids, their fan base was right on top of the kids, and it was very loud. And Zionsville challenged them late. Brownsburg led most of that game. And Trevor Lucas stepped up and hit some big free throws in front of that big crowd. So that road win at Zionsville was really big. And then, of course, you come back with a fantastic effort against a big-time team on Saturday night. You hit all those free throws down the stretch. I thought it was just outstanding. A great weekend for Bulldog basketball.
Yeah, and when you go on a road trip like that, particularly, I believe it was really bad weather that night, but you were still able to go, keep the focus, get the win, and bring that home. So that's obviously a very, very good thing. But, Coach, it doesn't get any easier for the team because now you have to head on the road to face in-conference rival Avon, who is 3-1 on the year. So they're going pretty well so far themselves.
No, Jason Young's got them off to a great start. They're playing very hard. Seems like they're scoring the ball at will against opponents, putting up some big offensive numbers. When you watch them on tape, it looks like they have a lot of guys that can shoot the ball well. And so, again, going to a rival, county rival, conference rival, I know Coach Young's done a great job over the years. So we're anxious to get over there Friday and get it going. But, again, our guys will be up to the task.
Yeah, and it's a very, very young team with a lot of scoring options. And what's really scary is we were talking about a little bit where we're going through the technical difficulties. It's a very, very young team. Two of their leading scorers, other than Funkhauser, are fresh, two sophomores. So very young team, but good luck in that game, Coach. I'm actually thinking about going over there myself to catch that game because I think it'll be a good game. You got 4-1 Avon versus 4-1 Brownsburg. It doesn't get any better than that for a Friday basketball game. Well, Coach, it's been fun. I hope you enjoyed being on here as much as we enjoyed having you on again. Wish you luck going forward with the season, particularly against Avon, and hopefully having you back again in the near future. But we'll take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll talk to head groundskeeper Evan Buckley and take a look around the county at some of the results in the winter schedule. You're listening to Hendricks County McDonald's Hendricks County Sports Show on AudioSportsOnline.net.
All right, guys.
Welcome back. This is the McDonald's Hendricks County Sports Show on AudioSportsOnline.net, brought to you by your Brownsburg McDonald's. You can try these tasty holiday treats during the month of December. You can try Peppermint Mocha, a milder blend of espresso, steamed milk, peppermint, and dark chocolate syrup, topped with whipped cream and chocolate drizzle, available for a limited time, medium only $2.99. And the McRib is back, a hot sandwich that is a balanced blend of caramelized, smoky, tangy Western barbecue-style sauce, dill pickles, and mild, fresh, slivered onions. Now only $2.79. Both are available at your two Brownsburg McDonald's on Main Street next to Marsh and just off Interstate 74. I'm J.P. Sinclair, and so glad you can join us. I'm joined now by Evan Buckley, who's the head groundskeeper of Brownsburg High School. When you look at a job like that, what exactly does that entail?
Basically, it involves everything from the event setup in the wintertime, current season that we're in. We do boys and girls basketball, assist with wrestling, swimming, diving, setting those events up. And then throughout the day, different activities that happen throughout the athletic office. I'm there to assist a hand, hanging senior banners, things like that might pop up.
Is it very tough? Like, you have a boys basketball game Friday night, and then you turn around and you have to have it ready for, say, wrestling on Saturday morning, and then a girls game that like Saturday afternoon or evening?
Well, most of our wrestling events they have their own gym, so that kind of eliminates having to tear completely down and reset up, having those in separate venues. So it's not too bad, because we usually just leave it set up throughout the entire weekend, and then the teardown crew will go through and do the cleaning and that sort of thing.
You also have to deal with the middle school as well, correct?
Correct. For wintertime, we don't have to do any events there, so that's basically just spring, summer, fall, taking care of the outdoor facilities.
Now you started in November, so you didn't have to deal with the work stadium before the improvements. But now that it's there, have you had a chance to go out and see the field? You don't have to take care of the grass, so I'm sure that's a lot easier too. But when you look at that going forward next fall season, have you ever had to take care of grass compared to the synthetic turf like on the new stadium?
Sure. I reap the rewards of the new improvements. Starting November, obviously the football season had ended, so didn't have a lot to do with the season, but I was here for the teardown and cleanup of the stadium, so putting the field to sleep, so to speak. There are certain things you have to do, grooming, and then we have a litter cat that goes through, picks the chrome up, sorts out the debris, has a magnet behind it to get any sort of metal shavings, things like that might be left behind from band or cheerleaders, things like that, bobby pins.
Yeah, I know that was one of the things they were really excited about with the new stadium was the multifaceted use that it could get out of. So obviously that'll be something very nice for them going forward. What do you think is the most challenging part about what you do for the high school?
I think it's like anything, just pleasing everybody, trying to make sure everybody's happy. Because
that's hard to do, period.
Yeah. But that's my goal, is to make sure that we have, number one, safe and playable fields for the athletes. But then I want the coaches to go out and know that the field's going to be the same every time they take the field, whether it's for a game or practice.
Yeah, now that you mentioned that, I remember when I was in high school, I had my own basketball court out in the street, and the rim leaned a little bit, so I had that home field advantage because I knew how to shoot no matter where I was when I was playing basketball in that court. So that's pretty important for the team. So, it's very imperative. But, what would you say is the thing that you like least about the job?
Snow.
Welcome to Indiana.
Right.
So when it comes to the middle school versus high school, taking care of both facilities, which one do you find more challenging? Is it the high schoolers or is it the middle schoolers?
I think they're the same, because I think from a corporation standpoint, we try to be the same across the board, whether it be middle school versus high school or boys versus girls sports. We want to just have a consistent playing surface across the board.
So you also said that you were in charge of hanging up some of the banners and stuff, they have that state title banner. Did you feel like you had to be extra cautious when you're putting that one up?
Yeah, no, I didn't put that up, so that wasn't on me, luckily.
Okay. I'd be worried if I had to take that down and try and clean it for any reason. I'd be afraid. Knowing my luck, I'd pull out one stitch and the whole thing would fall apart. So, but when it also comes, is it hard to buffer that kind of gym? I'm
not actually involved in the detail of the gym floor, the cleaning, and things like that.
Okay. Do you have any questions you'd like to ask Chris?
Yeah, I think so. Didn't you say you do some of the pool work now, too, for the swimming pool?
Just really with the event setup, not so much with the actual cleaning or chemicals of the pool. I do make sure everything's in line for the Board of Health. They do inspections, usually biweekly. Water sampling, we have a Delta Water here in Brownsburg does our water sample. So deliver that, make sure that everything's safe and there's no violations.
I know I've asked Kelly Wagner, the athletic director, about that before, and she says the pool's a big job always. So, and the other thing for you is doing all this, you've got a busy schedule throughout the week.
Right.
Evan?
Right.
And do you do much on the weekends? There's weekend events, of course, too. You got to get ready for that, too.
Yeah, I work and set up for all the weekend events, and then once we get going in the spring, summer, and fall, a lot of my work needs to be done on the weekend, because once the events start, I want to be out of sight, out of mind. Sure. My goal is to have the fields ready to play, and then if I had to come back in the evenings after the event or on the weekends to get things done, that's when I'll do my job.
Evan, if we have some young person out there, watching our show or whatever, and they say, boy, that sounds like a great job, I'd like to do that. How do you get trained, or what kind of schooling or, degree do you have to get in this? Where'd you go to school?
Sure. I have a 4-year bachelor's degree from Purdue, Department of Agronomy, with an emphasis on turf science.
Ah, okay. Well, we're glad you're here, Evan. Stay busy.
Turf science, when you think of turf, you think of AstroTurf. You have the new synthetic type turf and then regular grass fields. And I think it's kind of interesting because I'm trying to remember exactly where I heard it the other day, but we saw the snow and everything, and those kind of fields are typically built on a hill. But do you have that when it comes to like a synthetic turf like Brownsburg now has?
Usually with the synthetic turf, they're flat. So with the chrome rubber, and then they have a sand base below them, so they drain with the drainage put in. So they drain because the chrome rubber and the sand is porous. So there's more macro space, if you will, for the water to drain through.
Yeah, I find that very interesting because typically I would have to think that if you spend so much time practicing on grass, like say if you were Broderpool, because I know when I went to Broderpool we had a grass field, and then you turn around and now you're coming and playing on a flat field, like a completely flat. That's got to be an adjustment, I would think, if you're a player. So that's pretty interesting. But do you have when it comes to what you also do? And you said that what was the name of that major again?
Turf science.
Turf science. What was the funnest thing about that degree?
I always say it beats having a real job. I get to go out and take care of grass every day, so that beats having a real job, in my opinion.
Well, as long as most of the fields look like Tiger Woods' backyards, I think we'll be all right. So, but really glad you can join us. Maybe we'll have you on again in the future, and you can tell us how it's going. I know baseball season's come up, and you got to keep those fields in tip-top shape and get the lines painted and everything else. And I know from playing baseball at Broderpool, that was a very tough job that the students had to do and take care of because you want that field to be looking nice and pristine. So,
sure.
But definitely thank you for coming on, Chris.
Thanks for having me.
Yep.
Evan, thanks for doing that.
Yeah,
appreciate it.
Thanks for
Good
having
job.
me.
Good job.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned the flat field because whenever I worked at the Indians,
Welcome back to the McDonald's Hendricks County Sports Show. I'm JP Sinclair, and I'm joined once again by Chris Worley, and we'll take a look now at some of the winter sports going around the county, Chris. But let's go ahead and get started with winter sports at the school you're pretty close to in Brownsburg. We just got done talking to head coach Lynch. The boys varsity team continues to roll 4-1 now in the season with some great wins, especially the one against Pike. That we talked to Coach about. I mean, it doesn't get any easier with Avon upcoming on the schedule.
Right, no doubt. And this is Coach Lynch's first experience of the Avon game. When he first got here, and we did a preseason interview, I asked him, has anybody told you about the Avon rivalry? And, yeah, he knew about it right away. So of course, it's big. And then not only Avon this weekend on the road, it's the same situation as that big weekend last week. They're on the road for Friday night at Avon and then home Saturday night for a big game against Ben Davis. And you'd expect on the west side that to have a good crowd turnout from both sides for that.
Yeah, I mean, those are two very, very tough schools, especially when it comes to basketball. Two west side teams, close proximity, good rivalries. This Avon game, to me, is a very, very big game because you look at it's a rival school right up the street. A lot of these guys go home. They probably know a lot of the other team just because of living in close proximity, if you will. Yeah. Maybe even some of them, spent some time playing on some AAU-type teams together. So should be a very, very interesting game Saturday when you look at that. But the varsity girls basketball team braved the cold and snow on Saturday as they traveled to Lafayette Harrison for an HCC contest. The Dogs improved to 5-1 on the season with a 74-54 victory. Freshman Riley Olmstead scored a game-high 17 points. Riley also had 3 rebounds, 3 assists, and 3 steals. Sophomore Leah Walker finished with 16 points and 7 boards. So the girls' varsity team continues to roll.
Yes. You look at that record, 5-1, outstanding. They're going to be at Plainfield. Well, that's tonight.
Yeah, that's tonight.
Right, at Plainfield tonight, and then they have Noblesville in on an afternoon game on Sunday. So Coach Amy Brahman and the girls' basketball just been tremendous. Let's keep it going here. Both schools, look at these records, 6-1, the boys 4-1. I'm sorry, just one more point on the boys' basketball. I wondered after that Pike game if they would get rated, and the new AP poll has them rated number 8 in Class 4A in the state.
Yeah, so, I mean, that's obviously a very good thing. When your only loss on the season is to a team like Carmel, who's number one, and you just beat a team that I believe was 4th in the last poll.
Second.
Yeah, actually. Second. So, I mean, that's a very, very solid win that'll get you noticed if you hadn't gotten noticed already. But as you said, the varsity girls team is playing Plainfield as we speak, but we also want to send a big congrats to the Brownsburg wrestling team. They placed 6th at the Zionsville International last year, but this weekend the team won the championship, so that's obviously very great news. The individual champions were Brandon Gay at 145 pounds, Zach Rumschlag at 285 pounds. Placing second were Nick Weaver, Connor Allen, Troy Owen, and C.J. Damler. The team is now 10-1 on the season. Have won all 3 tournaments they participated in.
Outstanding. And this weekend, they have a big weekend coming up. December 21st is the Hendricks County Tournament for wrestling. So everybody will be in good shape that day, and they'll be ready for that tournament. So 10-1, Coach Snyder doing an outstanding job with boys wrestling at Brownsburg.
Yeah, and you just talked about the girls playing tonight in Plainfield, but you also look at it, the time has come for the Brownsburg wrestling highlight duel, but sadly it's going on as we speak as well. It's going on tonight, which I'm sure is, it's very tough for the athletes because you look, it's finals week for them, a week right before break. But you have that kind of tournament, so you have to keep your focus. They take on Carmel High School tonight, but they're also planning DJ, music, light show, and it's all senior night for them. So a lot going on tonight for the Brownsburg wrestling team.
When's that first wrestling match you're going to do? Is that Decatur Central?
It was supposed to be Decatur.
Okay.
But it did not happen the first one. I know there's another one coming up on the schedule. I'm not quite sure when it is.
Because I would have liked to have been there tonight, but we'll keep track of the wrestling for you folks.
Yeah, I mean, Brownsburg wrestling is doing absolutely tremendous right now. Hopefully we can get their head coach on soon to be able to talk to them about what they've been able to accomplish thus far in the season, because it's been a very impressive mark for them. But the Bulldog swimming and diving team also continued a nice streak of taking on heavyweight competition. The only problem is they have not been quite as successful. They hosted rival Avon on December 10th at the Bulldog Aquatic Center. The Dogs were in it, but they just couldn't hold off the crosstown rivals, dropping a pair of decisions. The girls' team fell 125-58 to drop to 3-3 on the season, while the boys are still looking for their first win, 0-3, dropping 110-60 against Avon. According to head coach Josh Saylor, they trained very well this season, and the kids are tired, but like they should be. But it's very frustrating when you compete so hard and come up short. But we have great leadership on this team and know our biggest goal is to be our best at the end of the season.
Yeah, and speaking of this weekend for them, too, the Hendricks County Invitational for boys and girls swimming is this weekend. Starts Saturday. I'm not sure what time it starts, but Saturday morning, the swimming and diving will be in action all day at the Hendricks County Invitational.
And the Bulldogs, besides that one, they'll also try and get back on the win column Tuesday, December... Actually, never mind, scratch that. December 17th was yesterday. So
yeah, and we looked for a result for that, and I couldn't find one online.
I couldn't either.
Okay.
I did check that. I think that's why I put that on there. But let's go and take a look now at Plainfield High School. The boys basketball dropped to 1-3 on the year. They lost to Martinsville 74-45. Senior James Mayberry and sophomore Max Kurkowski scored in double figures with 13 and 10 respectively. But they also lost to North Bloomington 67-47. Mayberry and Kurkowski each scored 13 in that loss. So the Plainfield Quakers are struggling a little bit so far on the year, Chris.
Yeah, and I just looked at their scoring. Max Kurkowski averaging 12.3 points a game. A big story for them so far, though. Yeah, the record's not where they want it, but a freshman, Nathan Mills, 6'4".
Nathan Mills, yes. Yeah. He's been very impressive.
Yep, he's averaging 9.3 points a game, and he is shooting 60% from the field goal line. And in several of those games, he's led them in rebounding. So the future, at least down low from a post position for Plainfield, looks good. Freshman Nathan Mills.
Yeah, he didn't start in the very first game when they played Avon, but against Whiteland and also Bloomington North, he did get his first 2 starts, and he's been very impressive. He's got a very, very nice mid-range game, particularly from that free throw line extended area. So should be a very interesting thing to keep an eye on as Plainfield continues to develop him.
I want to ask you, because I know you've done some of the games, Jacob Maple had a big football season.
Oh, yeah.
Has he done much for the basketball so far?
He's not so much of a scorer. He's when he gets in the game, he's more in there for his defense than anything else. He's a very big body.
I know he's a good athlete.
Yeah, he's a good athlete. He didn't get his first points until the Bloomington North game, and those came at the free throw line. So he's a very slow scorer, but he's not in there to score. He's in there to be a big body, try and get other people off their game, and he does that pretty well.
Okay, and then let's see. They play, Saturday. They host Danville. Plainfield will host Danville this coming Saturday.
Yep, and that Danville's 4-1 on the year already. Audio Sports Online will have coverage of that game starting at 7:30, so you can check that out. And I will not be on the call of that game, but I'm pretty sure whoever it will do a great job because that'll be a very good game against a very tough opponent for Plainfield. But let's go ahead and take a look now at the girls' team for the Plainfield Quakers. They're 5-1 on the year, and I really didn't find very much on them. What's been going on with them? I'm not sure if you got anything, Chris. But they do play Brownsburg tonight, so that's a pretty big matchup.
Yeah, I have them as 6-1 going into this game, so an outstanding record. But to me, something really stands out for the Plainfield girls program is their coach, Kurt Binge. He is 22nd on the all-time list right now in girls basketball wins. He has 279 wins, so he's approaching 300 wins. This is his 19th season at Plainfield, so we need to check him out. And fans, if you haven't been out to check out this team, they are outstanding. Coach Binge, the fine record, like I said, approaching 300 wins. He's also the girls' golf coach.
Well, that keeps you very, very busy. But, it's funny that you mentioned that because I did happen to be able to check a little bit of that game out. I was setting up for the men's game against Whiteland because it was in the same building, one right after the other. So I got to catch the end of the Whiteland game, which they dominated. So they look very, very impressive as well, does the Plainfield girls team.
Yeah. As we said tonight against Brownsburg, they will be at Martinsville this coming Friday night. That's the Plainfield girls.
In wrestling for the Quakers, Plainfield defeated Cascade 54-13. So they continue to do very, very well. Men's swimming defeated Franklin Community 123-61 last Tuesday. Aaron Lux and James Pulowski each had a first-place time in the 1 meter and the 100 free, respectively. So both the wrestling and the swimming and diving team for Plainfield continues to roll.
There you go.
Did you have anything else you wanted to add about Plainfield?
No.
Okay.
Good.
Well, let's go ahead and take a look now at Avon High School. The boys basketball team went 1-on-1 on the week. They defeated Harrison West Lafayette 68-54, but they followed it up with their first loss of the year against a tough Warren Central team, 60-52. Senior Connor Funkhauser tallied a game-high 23 points for them in that loss.
Yeah, of course, Avon was missing a few players in that loss due to the unfortunate circumstance. It's been in all the local media and the news about the cell phone problem they've had with some of their players throughout their athletic program. And I show, and just, of course, I wasn't there, but you look at the box score for that game against Warren Central, they had only 8 players, and they were missing several key players. So I don't know. We hope those players will be back for this big Brownsburg rivalry game, so we'll just have to see.
Yeah.
I did check I'm sorry, go ahead, Jake.
No, go ahead.
I'm just checking some of their stats right now. They were missing some of that, but Connor Funkhauser, again, their number one scorer, 15.7 points per game. Brandon Peters, the continuing his fine career in athletics. He was the quarterback, of course. He's only a sophomore. He's averaging 12.7. So those are the number 1 and number 2 scores. We know those guys will be there Friday night. Leading them in rebounding is Logan White at just almost 9 rebounds a game. So definitely a talented Avon team.
Yeah, and they have sophomore Jack McHugh, who was really impressive to me when they played Plainfield. So I think he's their 3rd leading scorer. So
right, 10 points a game. Yeah.
That's also another big loss if he's not able to go. So it'll be interesting. I really hope that I know whatever they did was not necessarily on the greatest thing, but obviously you need to take responsibility and take your punishment. But I really do hope that they have done their time and are able to play in that Brownsburg game, because that'll be a very big one against 2 4-1 teams.
Sure will be. And, of course, I'm looking forward to seeing the crowds. Now, we will have that game for you on xrbradio.com and the Audio Sports Online broadcast venue. But then besides that, after the Brownsburg game, they don't play for a week. Avon doesn't. Then they'll be at number 1 Carmel. So 2 tough challenges coming up here for the Avon squad.
Yeah, and I'm sure Coach Young will have them ready to go.
Yeah.
But the girls' basketball team has continued to really struggle in this year. It's just not gotten any better for them. They're now 0 of 8 on the year. They lost to Mooresville 62-32 this week. Lexi Short scored a team-high 12 points, and they also lost to McCutcheon 55-34.
Yes, and they have Westfield tomorrow night, and then on the weekend, Saturday, Lafayette Jeff. So it's just been tough. I know they want to break that losing streak. Lexi Short, I think that she's their leading scorer, and she's been great.
Yeah, she's been their leading scorer pretty much in every single game that they played this year, and hopefully they'll be able to find a way to break into that win column. Obviously, it's hard to do because you get into a certain mentality going through the year as an athlete, but hopefully they can stay the course and try and get that first W on the board, which will be very big for them.
Yeah, in that conference for the girls, the Hoosier Crossroads Conference, Westfield is 7-0, so going to be hard to catch them, of course, for anybody. But Hamilton Southeastern just 5-4. But Westfield looks like the class of that conference in the girls. In the girls Hoosier Crossroads.
Yeah, and up there off of State Route 32, But Westfield seems to be really running away with it. But hopefully the Brownsburg girls can catch them. I know that they've had a very solid record this year. The thing that really impressed me about that team, when going back to the Brownsburg girls team and talking about that conference, this was a team that lost a Miss Indiana basketball.
Right.
You don't replace that in one year, but you have to give Coach credit. Being able to keep that team rolling into this season.
Yeah, and I'm sure at some point we'll get Amy on the show this week, this show for you folks. But that is hard to replace. You would think, oh boy, they're really going to struggle. And like you've said, they have a young team, but boy, they've been outstanding. So Amy's doing a good job.
In swimming, let's going back to Avon now. In swimming and diving, Avon girls beat Brownsburg 125-58, and the boys defeated Brownsburg 110-60. So it was a good week for Avon in swimming and diving. But also in action against Brownsburg this week was the Avon wrestling team, who defeated Brownsburg 51-13. So not necessarily a great week for Brownsburg against the athletic competition of Avon.
Yeah.
But we do hope that it will get better as the basketball team plays this week.
Yeah, Friday night's going to be a big night here in Hendricks County, and for those two schools, Brownsburg versus Avon Friday night.
And on a side note, I also found this out, that Avon hosted their swimming and diving meet versus Center Grove High School yesterday, and they called it a pink out to help fund breast cancer. Very, very good. Good cause. In addition to raising awareness and money, it turned out that they dyed the water pink for the event.
Oh, my. I did not know that. That's something we're seeing high schools doing. We especially see it in the football season where they have a pink out, or, the students do something for a good cause and a charity cause, be it cancer or whatever. So that's a good part of our high school. Recently with Avon, of course, you've heard some bad news from their high school programs. But here's kids in this event raising money for charity, raising money for cancer research and prevention. So that's outstanding work by a group of high school kids.
Yeah, and according to the Indiana High School Athletic Association, it was the first time in history that it had been done. So very good on Avon. So do you have anything else you'd like to add for the show, Chris?
Just to close up on boys basketball, the Hoosier Crossroads conference standing right now has Hamilton Southeastern on top at 4-0, Brownsburg 4-1. Now these standings are a little skewed because some teams have not played a full amount of games. Like Westfield's just 1-1, but Hamilton Southeastern and Brownsburg at the top there. McCutcheon is also 4-0. They haven't played in any conference games though, so that's why we have to move them down. Fisher's down at the Trails at 1-5, but another big week of high school basketball and all the sports this week, even going on tonight, JP. So we'll have more for you next week as we continue to follow Hendricks County high school sports.
Yep, we will be actually not next week, but we'll get into that in just a second. But that'll about do it for the show. It's been fun. We only hope to keep getting better at the show. The Hendricks County McDonald's Sports Show is written by me, JP Sinclair, and produced and distributed by AudioSportsOnline.net. Some of the music provided tonight from Mevio's Music Alley. You can check them out at music.mevio.com. Want to give special thanks to Brownsburg head high school boys coach Steve Lynch and also head groundskeeper Evan Buckley, because that's a pretty interesting job when you look at it. And he knows more about turf than I'm sure we could ever hope to learn.
He does. He has a degree in it from Purdue.
And, special thanks for them to joining us on today's show. Our next show will not actually be till the new year.
Okay.
It's January 8th. So we want to go ahead and send a Merry Christmas to everyone out there. We talked about there's plenty of good athletic events to go and try and support your local high school team. I know the big one that I'm going to try and go to Friday. I just got to drag the wife. She works at Brownsburg, so it should be easy enough. I'll be like, hey, do you know anyone on the team? All right, let's go see them play a game of basketball against Avon.
That's right.
So that should be a good one tomorrow, as we talked about. But the January 8th show for us will be at the Avon Rockville Road location. If you want to come out there and say hi to us, we'd love to see you out there for that show. You can send us any feedback, or if you have any questions or comments you'd like to hear talked about on the show, you can send those to jp.sinclair1988@gmail.com. And you can also follow me on Twitter at SinclairJP. Thanks to you for tuning in. We'll see you during the new year. Until then, I'm JP Sinclair for Chris Worley, hoping you support high school athletics as much as we do and have a safe Merry Christmas and a safe and happy New Year.
Thank you.